Let's move on to the first column underneath our strategy boxes of this performance management canvas. You see that there are 3 topics here that we like to think of as dependencies of performance management. The first one is leadership maturity. This is a very important one because if you want to change your performance management process or your performance management approach, you'll see that in companies where leadership is very mature, where leadership can just do every managerial task there is without depending on this once-a-year evaluation conversation, this once-a-year appraisal, that rolling out a new system or a new approach will look entirely different from most organizations, and that's where managers don't really have the necessary skill set to do it without that once-a-year moment or without having guidelines on how to set objectives. Okay? So that's the first thing we want to think about. How mature is our leadership? Could they do it without any guidelines at all? And to give you a hint, there's only a few companies that I've seen that were able to do it without any guidelines, that to just leave their leadership be, to just leave their managers be, and all ended well. The second thing you see on the bottom left corner is top-down. This is an odd question for a lot of companies when they have to fill in this canvas, but it's very important. It begs the question, or it tries to answer the question, how top-down do you want to be as a company? Do you want to be as a company? Because often when we're implementing performance management, people have this big vision and they want to go forward, but all of a sudden we notice that they don't want to step away from a competency framework they have. They don't want to step away from, in other words, rating competencies per function. This, for me, is very unagile work and very old school HR, but it could be that you have a management team that doesn't want to step away from these principles. Be aware of that, be mindful of that, and try to write that down here. A second example of top-down is cascaded objectives. In a truly agile world or in a truly digital company, you don't really have that much top-down objectives anymore. You just have a vision and a strategy that's clear for everybody, and everybody sets their quarterly objectives based upon the shared vision. But I know that's not the reality in most companies. So think about how top-down do you want to be? Do you still need those cascaded objectives? Do you still need that competency framework? Do you still need other top-down things that you can think of? And then thirdly and finally, what we want to look at is the rewarding process. Because I've noticed that a lot of companies don't actually want to separate rewarding and performance management yet. For me, this is a very important step into leadership maturity, into making sure that people get the opportunity to talk about their personal development, is separating the two. So if you don't want to separate them, be mindful about it and think about the links you still need between the performance management process and the rewarding process. What's the minimal link? What's the minimum information that needs to reside or that needs to, go back and forth between the two processes? Try to make it as minimal as possible. It could be just a questionnaire asked to the manager. It could be anything from rating competencies if you still want to be very top-down or anything else. If you want to move to a situation where rewarding is completely separated, you can move to market-based pay, or you can just look up our mini guide on rewarding to see what other alternatives are. So try to think of all of these dependencies so you step into your project very mindfully.